Trash Talkers. Here at Veteran Trash Talk, we actually vet our sponsors. We don't just take their money and run like a Butterbar lieutenant lost on the land nav course. Are you finally ready to plant your flag and claim your territory? Maybe it's time to use that VA loan to buy a home. Or hell, maybe you're looking to refinance and put some extra cash in your pocket for more questionable life decisions. Either way, the Veterans Mortgage Source, powered by Canopy Mortgage, has your six. Look, buying a home or refinancing can feel like getting overrun on a bad op. Chaotic, confusing, and full of obstacles that make no damn sense. That's where Corey and his team come in. They're like the QRF of home loans, ready to pull you out of the chaos and guide you to the best program for you. And trust me, they'll answer all your questions. Yeah, even the dumb ones. Whether you're a salty vet or fresh out of barracks still trying to figure out where your TA-50 went. Great service, solid rates, and a team that actually understands the military life. That's why all of us here at Veteran Trash Talk trust them to do right by every veteran and their family. Ready to lock it in? Give Corey a call or shoot him a text at 808-699-7874. That's 808-699-7874. Don't wait. Unless you like overpaying and getting treated like an FNG. The Veterans Mortgage Source is powered by Canopy Mortgage, LLC. All loans are subject to credit and property approval.
What's up, Trash Talkers? Listen, it's impossible to fight, okay, if you don't know what you're fighting for. Does that make sense? Like, if you're in the dumps and you're struggling with mental health, things of that nature, it's going to continue tearing you down, all right? Because you're consistently trying to fight something, which is that demon, which is usually something from the past, right? Maybe that why needs to be fighting for your future. Let that be your why. Get the hell up and start fighting for your future. Stop fighting things that happened in the past. Easier said than done, right? Go seek help. It's okay not to be okay. A lot of people need to hear this. You are more of a warrior and a fighter if you stand up and say, hey, this has to stop. I need to go seek help. The stigma, everything has changed. It's okay not to be okay.
And so my honesty cap is dedicated to a little, we'll call it a public service announcement for civilians and other people in the military. There are a few people that you should always take their stories with a grain of salt. Vegans, CrossFitters, and special operations guys that tell you that they were special operations without being prompted. The first thing they say is, yeah, I used to be soft. Right. The only unicorn in that entire group is like a special operations guy that was like a vegan and did CrossFit. That guy's probably going to stay quiet for a little bit longer because he's confused as what he should talk about first. And that's the only reason. Right. Anybody that says that they were soft without being prompted or without it being like a normal part of your communications is probably either an enabler or going to tell you a bunch of stuff that's not exactly true.
What's up, Trash Talkers? What's up, Gruntworks Nation? Big Earl. You heard Dave talk. You heard Buddy talk. Now, Buddy's all about, he is a Green Beret and he's Special Forces and yada, yada, yada. But he will not tell you that unless, he really, really likes you and he's made dinner for you. However, what Veteran Trash Talk does is we bring a lot of light to the veteran community, the first responder community. We promote that what we're doing well, all right, whether we're running for office, we started a business, nonprofit, all those things. Veteran Trash Talk is a super clean page. We got Gruntworks if you want to go there and raise a little hell a little bit, but we are here to promote veteran-owned businesses. So the show you are about to watch is a veteran or veterans or a spouse of a veteran or a child of a veteran that's doing great things in the community, and we need your help promoting them and getting them all all the success that they need. All right, guys, enjoy the show.
This is the Veteran Trash Talk Hour, hosted by Nick, Dave, and Buddy. Real warriors making fun of other real warriors. Try to not get triggered.
Talkers, what is up, Gruntworks Nation? We are back. Special guest today is retired Colonel Rob Ryan, who's going to be talking about all things warfare. And joining me as usual are the Big Earl and Buddy. Happy Saturday. Been a while.
How was your
It
month?
has been. I mean, we were on vacation for a month, so those of you watching for the first time, give us a like and a share. We got a lot of viewers coming on right now. We are banned on Facebook right now for Dave's poor behavior, but it's okay. We got 30 more days in jail and we'll be released. But we do take vacation because we started this podcast while we were active, and July was always our leave time, so we always just took July off. But now that Buddy has officially retired, the last of us, right? Or was Dave? I think Buddy was.
No, it was me. I was the last one.
No,
No.
yeah.
I think Buddy was the first one, wasn't he?
Buddy was the
It was
first
Buddy,
one.
then
Well,
you, and then me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, look
Yeah,
at the guy who's banging your mom. Like says, I'm coming in from the Shenandoah Valley. Oh, like, come on.
What's up, mom and guy?
Like, what a flex that is. I'm just watching from my rich ass house in the valley. Yeah. Hi, guy.
So how was everybody's summer? Buddy went to France probably like 3 times, huh?
Once.
Twice.
Just
Once? Yeah.
One time.
Nice.
One time for a couple weeks. Great time.
Yeah, we went to Mexico for the first time. That was a lot of fun.
Kind of
Like a
like
Watch a lot of
Right
baseball,
from
man.
a reverse of what is going on here. Well, no, the same. You're just going there and then coming back. I guess it's kind of the reverse.
Yeah, it was a good time. Good time. Well, anyway, we will start this show off with a conspiracy. Obviously, for you guys that have watched this show plenty of times, you probably would know what I'm going to be talking about because we're going to talk about aliens, all right? Obviously, first of all, check out this awesome shirt. Regis Lane Maxwell, okay? At the bottom.
If there's no list, there's no crime.
Clients, no crime, right? So that's been going on. We're tracking that. We're not really going to get into that because last time we talked about it, the show just suddenly cut off. So I don't know what's going on with that.
Yep.
Tinfoil hat.
That's a fact.
But now that that's happening, are you guys aware of this asteroid supposable 3-eye Atlas thing that's coming towards Earth, and it's supposed to be here in October? I mean, that'd be a good, let's put all the information and let's put all the eyes on that, not focus on the, Epstein stuff. But Chris, play the video, and then we'll get everybody's take and see what's up with this.
That's the video. There.
Well, it's happening again. Remember Oumuamua back from 2017? Yeah, that interstellar object that we still don't know exactly what it was before it accelerated out of our solar system under its own power, which led certain scientists to suggest that it may have been some sort of alien probe. And now we've got a new visitor that's even more mysterious, an object called 3-eye Atlas. And this is the third object ever that's been observed like this, with Oumuamua being the first. It was discovered on July 1st, and it'll reach its closest point to Earth in October. Officially, astronomers think this is just a comet, but according to the data, this thing could be up to 12 miles across, which is much larger than an interstellar comet should be. And there are some other anomalies about this object that Harvard physicist Avi Loeb has pointed out, which has led him to suggest the possibility of this being some sort of alien tech visiting us. Currently, this object shows little to no spectral signs of cometary features like a tail, which should be present at this point with its current distance from the sun. It's also moving at almost 140,000 miles per hour on a seemingly intentional and very close trajectory towards Jupiter, Mars, Earth, and Venus, almost like it could be scanning the inner planets, and the odds of that being a natural occurrence are apparently pretty low. Its brightness also suggests that it might not be made of rock and ice like a comet usually is. It could be made of something else, which some speculate could be an artificial material. 3i Atlas is also coming in at a retrograde orbit within 5 degrees of Earth's orbital plane, which apparently only has a 0.2% chance of happening naturally. And the kicker is, when 3i Atlas is at its closest point to Earth on October 29th of this year, we won't even be able to see it because it's going to be hiding behind the sun, which would be a perfect place for some kind of alien probe or craft to hide away from our telescopes and satellites for us to get a really good look at it. Kind of suspicious if you ask me. Now, it seems more than likely that this is just a comet after all. Even Avi Loeb says that the data implies that, but it'll be interesting to see what happens as this object gets closer to Earth.
I mean, I don't really know what my take is. And Nick, you inspired me because you sent me you sent all the screenshots of your buddy who's going nuts about like Project Bluebeam and that this is one of those, cover-ups that the government's gonna. I don't know. I don't think we have enough information on it yet. I'm not counting it out. Maybe it is. It could. You never know, right? We had all that stuff going on in New Jersey and stuff. And we still don't know, the spy balloon stuff. And maybe our guest can elaborate more on this because, you might have those clearances. Who knows? Or you can just nod your head But I'm going to go 50-50 on this. As this thing gets closer, hopefully we can find out what's going on because there is that Harvard physicist who's saying that that's what it is. It hasn't been peer reviewed yet, I don't think. So there's other physicists that are saying, it's a bunch of garbage. But who knows? I'm going to go 50-50. Could be a spacecraft that's, coming close to Earth. Who knows? Sir, what do you got? Always the guest first. Give us your take. Complete bullshit.
It's a big, from universe to black holes, everything out there. I kind of go back in. When how long do we really track this stuff? So we put a man on the moon when, and then we're still novices at this space thing. Even with the desert pictures we get on Mars. Kind of go, hey, we're figuring it out. I look at it and go, I don't think it's a threat. I think it's interesting that we monitor it, but I don't think it needs to be on our front page of our newspapers. I think it's an awareness thing, not a decision thing. And I think that the more and more we drag to these things to kind of, if you will, wag the dog and look at this thing, the more we lose focus on probably key things, both domestically and internationally, that we probably need to keep our eye on. Like you said, it's interesting because it's out there, and we just talked about New Jersey, right? And some of the data that's come out of New Jersey in the counter UAS world has been, hey man, lots of helicopters, lots of helicopter
drones.
flights. There wasn't a lot of drones, even it was a lot of helicopters. So I kind of come back in and go, as we figure this out, one of the things I heard about this was, it's probably space garbage, moving along somewhere. So that's what you think. Is it a threat? Are we going to reboot Armageddon, from 10 years ago and play that again and, have the actor stars go up? We're going to drill a hole and blow this place up. So I think we're sitting in good space. I think it's an observe and report, kind of like a recce mission. And then, if we learn anything from its trajectory or it leaves a debris field that we can collect from possibly at the International Space Station, that would be neat, right?
Right. And there are talks about, there's one mission that's going on up there. There's talks about leaving them up there for an extra week so they can continue monitoring it. I saw that.
Well, Elon just dropped 4 guys off up there.
There you go. So it's interesting. Yeah. I don't. If there were a threat,
there's a clause though in any of those trips up there. They go, you could be there longer.
Right. You just got extended. Sorry.
Last people there for a year or something, accidentally.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a guy and a girl, and I don't understand how they made it a year and how they could have had the first baby in space.
Yeah.
Did you see the age of the girl?
Have you been up there? Have you been in a confined space like that for a year with
for over a year? Right. Who knows?
It'd be interesting to see how gravity would work under those circumstances, wouldn't it?
And even if you're married, it's it's for science, we're sorry.
Buddy, what's happening there, man? Bunch of bullshit. Yeah. And you probably chat GPT'd it, and I'll actually give you some good information on it.
No, I think my take on it, I usually put I put a lot of things into categories because it makes my simple brain able to process things. And here's
Fair,
here's the two things that I've noticed, because I've seen this a couple times on like TikTok and some other stuff. Is, first of all, if there was a 12-mile spaceship coming to our solar system, let alone to Earth, or anywhere that's actually close to Earth, I feel like Ukraine and Russia wouldn't really care about fighting each other anymore. They'd be like, well, wait a second, we probably need to let's pause this for a little bit and figure out what we're going to do about this 12-mile.
Well, that's where Project Blue Book comes in, or Project Blue Beam.
I also feel like, we would be doing some other things, and it wouldn't be like something that you have to find on TikTok. I mean, Fox has 24 hours they have to like shove things into. They would be at least 10 minutes where they'd be like, oh, by the way, there's a spaceship. So that's the one category.
They covered it on the news. I
haven't really seen any of that. The next category is the so what category. If there is this 12-mile wide spaceship coming to Earth, there's not a fucking thing I can do about it. So why do I care? Like, if they, and I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes I look around and I do watch the news and I'm like, yeah, we need it. We need some.
It's time for a reset.
We need a reset. Like, we need to go back to like having to like beat up bears to try to like get some food, because we have it way too easy, and this is becoming exhausting mentally and physically to like figure out how to navigate the world that we live in. So we definitely need to go back a few millennia and reset, and maybe write something down and be like, hey, if people start talking about which pronoun they are, and or that they identify as a slippery little snake, then we're coming back to reset you again. And that needs to be like a rule. Like 10 commandments, add 11th one.
Yeah, and if the government though starts talking about it too much, then it's like, can you really trust it? You just quoted exactly what Reagan did in his famous speech, where he talks about if there was a extraterrestrial threat, like how the whole world would come together and all our differences would be gone and we'd all unite. And then there's a big tinfoil hat conspiracy on Project Blue Book or Project Blue Beam, where they're actually going to fake that to just one world government, one world currency. We've talked about it in one of the conspiracies, and that's a big one. So I feel like if the government started talking about it a lot, then it's like, then you might have
the world has come together before on a couple sides, and fought a common enemy a couple times. Like, what I mean? And guess what happened right after that? Went back to the same shit.
Again?
Yeah. I think Buddy's advocating though for an Ice Age kind of experience, right?
Legitimately,
let's take this all the way back. Let's start rebuilding again. And all the way down that we can tell ourselves, rather than just stuff on a cave, right?
Yes.
Go,
that's 100% talking about like a complete wipe of everything. Like if they had
like Noah and the flood,
like the flood,
red lights that they could just hit everybody and they forgot everything. That would probably be better, because right now,
well, that'll happen when all of us have Neuralink installed by Elon Musk, because then it'll just be a button and done.
Yeah, done. Just like the vaccination, ain't gonna get that.
Well, maybe that's what this is. This is a galactic EMP. Is that what you're thinking, Buddy?
Maybe, hopefully, I don't know. Whatever took the.
Turns out you just got to bury yourself 2 inches below the ground and it won't work.
Whatever took the people that really built the pyramids out, we need that again. We're definitely like.
Well, others are saying, other conspiracies are it's the Galactic Federation apparently, and they're coming to create peace on Earth. Yeah, they're coming to bring us into their federation.
Awesome. Great.
That'd be great, right?
Like Luke said, I'm on the planet furthest from it.
Why do we feel like we're the redheaded stepchild planet, though, if that's what they're doing?
I don't think we're exceptional, but they've been watching us so long, and supposedly, I don't know, one group of them created us apparently, and they're like, all right, these guys are starting to like fuck shit up. Like, let's go over there. They've been around long enough, like let's help them out. Let's let them be part of the Galactic Federation. That's
the Galactic Federation.
Yeah, that's what it's called.
Or maybe they're like, we tried to
How
help
do we
you out
know what
before,
it's called? We're
and you
not
made us
in
build pyramids.
Yeah.
Hold on.
I
Hold
come
on.
across all this crazy stuff when I'm looking for a conspiracy the night before
Hold
for the
on.
show. So
Stop.
I don't
for a
believe in
second.
that. I just want to make that very clear. For
How are
anybody
we
that's
going to
watching.
join the Galactic Federation? We don't even speak the language. This isn't Star Wars where we're like,
Dude,
we're
they don't.
like,
It's aliens, buddy. It's just
Right.
telepathic, bro.
So we're
You just
like-
look at each
Yeah,
other
they,
and you
they
can like
touch you.
fucking.
They put their tentacles around you and then talk to you.
They just
through
look at you.
somebody
It's
else.
telepathic.
They use a
bro.
conduit.
It's dumb.
Yeah.
Anybody
That's
who's been abducted by the Greys, they don't talk. All right, it's just telepathic.
Yeah, we know this. We know this, buddy.
We
So,
know this
like, come on.
information.
And obviously, they sent their recce unit down to Peru, and they've been
that
fighting
wasn't
them for.
peaceful at all from what I saw.
I know, but I'm just saying that's because they got
Nothing peaceful
caught.
about that.
And we had Troxel on the show when we were talking about that, and you said that you could beat those aliens up. You think you could take a few of them. So I don't know why you're afraid of them.
A little bitty jelly-backed alien? Everybody could do that. But I don't think that's what we're dealing with. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I think those were different ones. Yeah, those were like bad ones.
If they
Yeah,
figured out how to get all the way across like the galaxy, they probably got something for my 9mm. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, hey Dave, Gus doesn't like your shirt. Gus wants you to take your shirt off. So
There you go,
if
Gus.
you want that, if you want
the
that,
whole thing.
if you want
figured
that
there would be some
inheritance-
people would be like, "What the hell is wrong with this guy?" Like,
if you want that
it's called
beach house,
sarcasm.
you better do what he says. And then we got Joe Waters says, "I don't want an ice age. Let's keep it tropical." I kind of agree.
I don't think that we can do a tropical age. Yeah,
I'm just saying we can go out a little nicer way, buddy. We don't got to
Too
freeze.
many microorganisms exist in the tropical age, man. So
hey, what are you talking about? You're in Florida. Don't worry about it. It'll be all right. Your ice age is going to be like a uncomfortable age. Like it'll be all right. You'll be fine.
well, but according to the environmentalists, I'm supposed to be underwater like 20 years ago, right? So I don't know.
Yeah,
What
That's
correct.
the same thing. Like so the
Yeah,
Bro,
California.
I was just in Costco and I heard a guy on the phone and I had to do everything I could to not like start talking to him. But he was talking about how we're 1,000 years delayed for the next big one, and how it's just a matter of time before we're just floating around. And he was like dead serious on the phone with somebody, and I really wanted to introduce myself to him and be like, can you elaborate to me like in person more what you're talking about? Like maybe he's one of the aliens. I don't know, but
maybe, but I just don't know how that a lot of these folks keep buying beachfront property, and when I visit Plymouth Rock, the water level hasn't changed in 500 years.
yeah,
Well,
weird.
That's also my thing is like it's kind of the climate change. We're going to be underwater. If that was the case, it's kind of like this asteroid thing. If nobody's doing anything about it that has way more knowledge than the people on TikTok that are making 3-minute videos, is it really an issue? Like probably not.
Yeah. Well, it is an issue. It's an economic issue because it's created its own brand, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to make a shirt about it. We'll make a couple $100 off of it. But so those of you watching the show for the first time, I always go last. I got to make my disclaimer because I am the smartest one and I, most educated and I take everybody's opinions and I put them together and I try to make it make sense. So this is actually pretty easy. Like Dave said, I have a buddy who I have never actually looked up Project Bluebeam. I haven't read one sentence about it, but my buddy on Facebook keeps tagging me in Project Bluebeam stuff, and I never click on it. That's why I sent it to you. I'm like, bro, apparently this is the start of it. So
it's like the 60s and 70s it came out. Dr. Werner von Braun, who was actually came from the Nazis.
But this thing is 100%. This thing is 100% real. All right, it's a real alien spacecraft, and like I always say, Hollywood desensitizes us to how these things happen. So that way, when it does happen, we're just like meh, and then that kind of goes with what Buddy said is like we can't do anything about it. But we already had Independence Day. All right, we know this thing comes out of nowhere. We're all gonna come together and find a way to destroy it. All right, we had the movie Mars Attacks. We know how they talk. Right, it's the meh, 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 and then they have a translator. We all know this stuff, so we are prepared. I think we are prepared. And again, those of you watching and saw the tagline of why this show is happening, I promise you, we will get to warfare and talking about that stuff. But we got to have our fun first. We got to
Well,
have our little barracks talk and our conspiracy. So,
Well, Earl, I thought you were going to go back and go, hey, man, we don't have Nostradamus anymore. So we have to go see what South Park version actually called this out and see if South Park's on the mark.
or Simpsons, or Simpsons,
Or the Simpsons. Yeah.
right? The Simpsons called Trump being
pull
president.
those writers
you know,
together and go, hey, man, what's really going to happen, right? So
Do you
I
see
could
that
go
South Park
hours
just-
on Nostradamus
South
stuff.
Park,
That one's
South Park
fascinating.
just signed a $1.5 billion deal with Paramount.
Yeah, did you see
that is-
that one episode everybody's talking about? Like, how did they get
what,
away with that?
Well, they got too much money now. Now they can get away with anything.
that's
But,
because they
uh,
treat everybody fairly.
Yeah. And
They got some bad
Equal
publicity, but
opportunity-
publicity is
equal
publicity,
opportunity
right? Yeah.
Insulters, right? As long as you're an
Yeah.
equal opportunity insulter, you own it.
You're
I want to
absolutely
go to
right.
what
yeah.
Buddy said. I want to go to what Buddy said about like the reset. And this is where I don't know if we need a reset yet, but we're getting there to where I always like these TikTok videos because that guy, he has found a way to make a living doing that. And I don't know if I hate that. I might be a supporter of that. This guy sitting in a basement somewhere, probably like in, Nebraska or, maybe Missouri. Like
I feel like he's very sweaty for no reason. Also.
Yeah, exactly. Because there's probably not a lot of ventilation down there, and it is the summertime. He has found a way to make more money than probably a lot of people doing that. And so I think we have a little bit of ways to go before a reset because I kind of want to see just how stupid we get with technology before the actual alien creators of it just kind of stop it. I think we're about to get wild here. I hope I get to see some of it before I die.
You think we're
the more we
wild,
mess
do you
around
think
with nuclear
AI is going to
weapons.
right set it, and they're actually going to make stupid people a little smarter, and that's what worries me. So if you confront that or hide that, I'm kind of nervous, man, because you can see the honesty and stupidity when they just throw themselves on TikTok, or you can hide it between ChatGPT or one of the other AI services, right? That's the scary part.
Well, again, we've talked about this before, but what is it? Is it the third version of ChatGPT that won't turn itself off? So
Well, that's happened now, but yes, it was version 3 was being created, I think, and then version 2
version 2 put in its own stopper and to prevent it from getting cut off. We're in trouble, boys. We're in trouble. So
that's just weird, man. I mean, that's where Elon says that we're just what's he say? We're just in a different dimension or whatever. Yeah,
I mean, nothing really. I mean, if you go with the cart, nothing really exists anyways.
Mm-hmm.
We're all in our own dream. So
yeah.
But yeah, buddy, let's turn it over to you. I'm excited
Matrix.
for your honesty, Cap.
I
It's been a while.
I wish my dream made more money. That'd be great.
Yeah,
that'd be awesome.
You weren't supposed to. You can make
what
more
a
money.
lame ass
It's
dream.
your fault.
You know what I mean? Like, what is your dream?
Stop working for a company that kills Air Force people.
Yeah, I want to be
all right.
Yeah.
If this is a simulation, then your fucking guy is controlling you.
Like I said, whoever my sim guy is, like he's like you're really good at being like middle class. Like what, dude? Middle class is that's your highest level, bro. You need to step up your game, dude. Come on.
Yeah.
Anyway,
takes those damn breaks.
Speaking of being middle class, I don't know. I haven't really shared this a lot, but I use my middle class money to go to flight school. And so now I'm learning to fly a Cessna, like a little 172, nothing huge. Not trying to be a commercial pilot. Just want to be able to fly myself around. Maybe do some instruments at some point. And I've learned a lot while doing this flight school. I did land twice this week on my own. Not a huge deal, but didn't crash. So that was it. Anyway, but I've learned a couple things.
Control landing.
I've learned a couple things. Thing number one, which is the important thing I've learned, that when you get out of the Army or the military or whatever, there are a lot of people that have a tendency to just kind of like they did it. They made it to the goal, which was to retire or to get out or whatever, and then they just kind of like don't really do a whole lot. And like you really have to, if you really want to make sure that your mental health is kind of like checked, and you still got to go out, do PT, challenge yourself, learn new things, do things that you're kind of uncomfortable with, like flying an airplane or going scuba diving or doing something. The other thing that I learned is that, and I was one of these guys for a long time, because I played some video games. But I felt like if I was on like a passenger airplane and both pilots suddenly had heart attacks and the stewardess came back and was like, we need somebody to land this
We need
plane,
a pilot. Yeah.
I would be like, I could probably get that done. You know what I mean? Like I could
Hold
probably
my beer.
there, maybe put a cool headset on, like talk to some people, bring it down. Congratulations from, the crowd. And I've seen surveys that said like, it's something
Your
crazy.
Top Gun
Like,
moment when you land.
like one in 4 men think that they could land a 747 if it had an issue. And they like, I'm flying a Cessna 172, very small single engine prop plane. And let me tell you that what you're not going to do is land that plane. You're going to land, but it's going to be way faster and more of a nose down pitch than you would want to, because there's a lot going on in an airplane. I landed this week. I felt like a 3-peckered, 1-legged goat in an ass-kicking contest at a hookers fucking convention. Like, so busy. 3-peckered, 1-legged. Yeah, real busy. Or
trying to put it in perspective here.
Or like my grandpappy used to say, I was busier than a one-armed drummer at a Def Leppard concert. Super busy. Like, you're doing so much shit all at the same time. You're calling.
So taking off is like pretty fucking easy, right, buddy? Taking off is just like whatever.
Push the gas all the way in and just take a ride.
Hold back.
Yeah, here's the difference though. If you're in a car and it's like you don't feel like driving anymore, pull over. The weather gets bad, pull over. You'll be fine. Put your hazards on. Yeah, we'll go back to that one. Doesn't really matter. If you're in an airplane and you get off the ground, you have to land. Real fast or real slow. Either way, you're coming down. Newton is undefeated. Undefeated in the aviation community. Like I said, there's so much going on, even in a little bitty plane. Even now, after expertly landing an airplane 2.5 times this week, if somebody came out of any airplane and was like, we need somebody with some kind of flight experience, I'd be like, you guys.
I have enough to know that I can't land this thing.
This ain't
Tell the guy in the back who's had 20 Jack Daniels comes, I got it. You might want to jump in, buddy. You might want
hey, whatever. It's a lot like
be the hero.
We're gonna crash one way or the other. He's already drunk. I might as well go get that way. That way, I don't care when we do crash. It doesn't.
Yeah,
it's
two things,
matter.
buddy. They're undefeated, right? Gravity and Father Time.
Yeah. Well, yes, 100%. Both of those things. And taxes. Taxes seem to be pretty. They got a pretty good record. They're like
but they go up and down. But the one thing that always goes down is the fear of gravity, right? Two. The other thing kind of comes back on planes. The argument can be made is, on the small engine size without computers is how do you best, because the C-17, you guys have all been in them, they can fly themselves.
Yeah.
So nowadays you look at that and go, do you need the pilot? Are we going to have autonomous aircraft?
I don't know that I want that either.
Well, we have autonomous cars, right? You saw them burning in LA, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago?
Yeah, those cars also have crashed.
But how much right now does a pilot do?
A lot. In my
experience,
they land on instruments to what point? At what point?
A larger commercial aircraft can probably hit a couple buttons and they can talk you through it, and it probably does.
And again, I told you, Hollywood does this. Snakes on a Plane. That kid played it on a video game, and he was able to land it.
Yeah. Once you get up in the air, and you're just flying like to a point, you could probably a commercial aircraft push a button and it'll go there. The difference is once you're landing, there's no button, just you. That's
That's.
Is there a pilot watching? At what point in time do we take off?
Do we have any pilots watching right now? Is it really that hard?
We say something.
Just trying to.
Our first guest was an F-35 pilot, and we blamed him we blamed him for the reason why.
I will tell you that
it was
after
F-35 pilot,
we've had quite a few pilots on. Yeah,
I did have to go to the hospital and get part of the cushion surgically removed from my ass because I was real clenched.
White knuckling.
What was her name? Who landed the C-130 that was all shot? Not the C-130 plane. It was all
the A-10.
A10,
Campbell, killer
yeah.
chick.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Campbell, killer chick.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She couldn't talk about aliens either. She couldn't talk about it. She's like, do not put that on social media. We're like, okay.
Yeah.
No, but
Times
good
have
point. I
changed.
mean, I think Buddy's point of that resiliency spot of, as you transition out is what's your purpose? What are the things that got you there? And it's, coming from the Ranger Regiment, I always tell folks that the creed doesn't have an expiration date. Nothing you raised your right hand from really has an expiration date.
Right.
And you represent. And the problem with the services is they have two types of things. They have really good and really bad alumni. What do you want to be? And then as you serve that purpose, right, is you serve that purpose is how do you make others around you better?
Yeah. Well, there's also something to be said about it. It's not a bad thing if you get out of the military and you don't know what your purpose is. It's a bad thing to not try to find it. Like you're not going to find it sitting in your recliner. You're going to have to get out and go do things. And just because you did something in the military doesn't mean that that's something that you don't do anymore. Like guys will be like, well, I did PT every morning in the military. I don't have to do that anymore. And you don't have to. You don't have to. But
what was that Sergeant Major's name? Retired. It was like 80 years old. He used to run down our dens still.
Guido?
Oh, Guido.
Sergeant Major Guido.
Dude.
Yeah.
That was so badass. Talk about fucking motivation. My privates were sucking on the run. I'd be like, fuck.
There's an 80-year-old up there.
That dude was in 4 different wars, and he's running.
Dude, and he had Army PTs on too. Like, this guy's getting after it, man. What's your excuse?
I remember when that guy would run and people would fall out and you would just be like, you disgusting piece of shit, dude. There is a geriatric 80-year-old man up there leading this run and you're falling out.
Yep.
You should definitely take your shirt off.
I literally would tell that to our privates in the platoon. I'd be like, come on, guys. Like,
but
you're not only embarrassing
what's
me,
your
you're
purpose and how do you drive people to a purpose that don't have it? So the other part kind of comes back is what's that community? Because you guys are all team players, right? And then all of a sudden your team jersey changes. And then, like you said, hey, I'm going to go fly. I'm going to go do a podcast. I'm going to go do something else.
Better pet that dog.
Yeah,
better pet that dog.
He's out watching squirrels run by, so he's pretty fired up. But how do you regenerate that? I mean, I kind of go back in is what's the passion? How do you drive that passion? And then with that, always learn, right?
Yeah, and sometimes you don't know, like I said, because nobody's telling you what you're passionate about. You don't know what it is, but you're never going to know if you don't go try something. Like, go try stuff. You don't have to like it. You just got to try it.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of a good segue to the guest, to Rob. And we've had a really, really fun conversation so far. Great start to the new season. Been phenomenal. But yeah, I spend about a solid minute and a half on the script. So when Colonel Ryan read the script, it was, hey, he's practicing to be a Fox News war correspondent type person. They bring him on to talk about, why did Iran just do this? And it's like, what's that guy's name? Like old General Kern or whatever. He's always on there, giving his 2 cents. So we have the privilege to coach Colonel Ryan on how to become a Fox News war expert, and that is why we brought him on. But anyways, that's for real talk. I served under Colonel Robin. Short story. Well, probably knowing me, it'll turn into a long one, but that's why I started the podcast. Short story. I was an RI down in Florida, and a guy by the name of Marcus Evans gave me a call, and the commander of the 25th right now. Well, I think he just left actually.
Isn't he in? Yeah.
But he said, "How come you're not coming to regiment?" I go, "My back's broke, bro." Like, well, obviously, sir. I'm like, my back's broke. I can't do that shit anymore. And he's like, where are you going? I'm like, well, I had 2 choices, Alaska or Hawaii. I didn't even ask my wife. I just said Hawaii because my wife's not going to Alaska. So we went to Hawaii. He's like, good. He's like, I'm going to make sure you go work under Rob Ryan because you're going to like the way that he does things. And I was like, okay, whatever. I trust that guy with my life. I think he was I actually wrote a paper on him in my master's. He's one of my favorite leaders of all time. And he said, you're going to go work for Rob. He's awesome. So I'm really, really excited to have him on the show. He's supposed to come on Memorial Day. because he gave a great speech one time about integrity. He threw in a lot of school words. None of us really paid attention for the most part of it, but like there was some awesome parts to it. Maybe he'll reference it because it was completely. You know when the leader always brings you around and like, all right, huddle up. We're gonna tell a story. And you're like, oh, great, here we go. But no, it was phenomenal. Maybe he'll readdress it. But welcome to the Trash Talk Hour, and tell us what the state of warfare is now. Are we ready to handle it? Do we have too many triggered pansies to actually go to full spectrum warfare? I don't know. It's your show now, Rob. What do you got?
All right, Big Earl. Well, thanks for the introduction, and thanks for what you guys do. I think it's helpful to our community, both those that are continuing to serve and those that have served. So I appreciate that. I retired 2 years ago, as you kind of stated, and I'll hit integrity a little bit at the end, but we'll talk about the premise of why we serve. But I also think that part of the discussion should be is as we look at the nature and the character of war is what's changing. So every one of you are getting spammed. We talk about getting spammed on YouTube. Hey man, this is happening, or this asteroid's flying here, or something's happening. I go, hey, the one thing that I'm kind of wrestling with the Army with, and DoD is, hey, this thing on drones. It's changing the character of war. And look at all these drones that are going out, and you guys are turning on their YouTube. They're getting these videos, they're getting feeds, they're getting short articles. They don't know who wrote them, they don't know who videoed them, but it's pretty neat because this T-72 or T-90 is blowing up, and I'm like, yeah, that's really neat. How many takes did it take to get there? What you don't know. So what don't you know in the video? How many takes did it take to get there? Who died? What was the collateral? What's the rest of the story, right? As Paul Harvey would say, that really happened. And one. Two is, let's admire the fact now that we could have edge forces, and I look at edge forces from soft special operations teams down to infantry battalions that can now, without a javelin, which is a 4-kilometer range, defeat a main armored tank. So what can defeat a tank? Before you had a javelin, you get within 4 clicks. If you're a light infantry guy, it's not your space. Tanks fight tanks, right? But now all of a sudden, I can defeat a tank. Or I can defeat an APC. And I can do it from 20 kilometers away. So the battlefield geometry you guys grew up with has changed a little bit. And now, how do you adapt that into the current force ratio? Hey, SOF will get it. They'll figure it out. The Marines got rid of their tanks, so they're going in with what looks like loading munitions and other things. So how do you fight that, guys? So we fight combined arms maneuver, right? So what happens when that battlefield geometry starts to adjust? How do we, the guys that used to do it, and this is why you guys are really important, talked about guys who are going to do it? Because I think, as Buddy mentioned, hey, I'm doing some work for SIG. Here's some things that I'm doing. I go, hey, man, some of this geometry is going to change. One of the softwares I'm working on right now, Buddy, is what if I can take that SPS drone that can go out 3.5 kilometers and I can actually port that digital feed into your optic on your weapon? And I can call the winds, and I can give you a picture, and all you got to do is pull the trigger. You don't see the target.
Well, I'll tell you that what I've seen lately is that what you end up getting is sensory overload for a private who has too much information to deal with instead of looking down a red dot or something else. But to bring up your point, and I think that we look at things in an offensive manner because we're an aggressive people. But when I watch
the defense is to go back on the offense.
When I watch those YouTube videos of like in the Ukraine of a T-72 burning, I tend to think more of if they can blow up a T-72 with a $100 drone and whatever they can attach to the bottom of it, what can now the Taliban or Al Qaeda or anybody that we might fight in the future do with their limited budget? Because the advantage that we had as U.S. soldiers in the past
was our enemy, because we never really fought.
Right, but
technologically advanced country in the last 20 years. I mean, Afghanistan wasn't advanced, Iraq wasn't.
right.
You know, China would have looked a lot different. Maybe
what we had was a budget. We had more money.
Well, yeah,
You know?
and what I think you just said, buddy, is the democratization of tech.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So all of a sudden, man, from IEDs now they can fly. Now it kind of comes back in. You were talking aviation 5 minutes ago, and I go, so what's the role of manned helicopters, man, in front of the FLOT 2030 and beyond? I got a drone in my basement right now, an FPV. I can put a Cornet warhead on that can go 127 knots.
Jesus.
For 12 minutes. All I got to do is a simple intersection problem. Even Big Earl can do that, and I can take you down.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
So-
exactly.
so-
But again, you're a private citizen, and we're talking about on the battlefield, but even Homeland Security, even like regular police forces, everybody, like the AI and drone space is something that people think of it as a toy. They think of it like people thought of computers back in in 1980, like, oh, it's just a fad, it's a toy, it's something to mess around with. Well, 50 years later, it's not such a toy any longer. We can't function without the computer or anything else. So
and buddy, what you're saying is Moore's law.
where are we going to be in
So
30
our
years?
technological dependence increases every day.
Yeah.
So like you just talked about, hey man, I'm flying a Cessna. It's all mechanical. It's like driving, without power steering fluid, an old car. And I go, this is part of it. It's taking your kid out the first time and teaching them how to drive standard, right? If you ever done that, and half these kids can't, right? So in this era that we're in, you look at it and go, hey, there's a technological piece to this. You guys grew up and you guys were trained in fieldcraft and your MOS, your tradecraft.
Yep.
You were really good at it. Now there's this mess of fieldcraft and tradecraft and techcraft.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't do all three, man, you're not the soldier at any caliber. The cognitive load, buddy, I'll kind of come back and I'll make an argument with, is I think that the services besides the Army are getting it right because they're going to ASIs and MOSs. The Army swung and missed. We wrote the R-Struck before I retired. We put RAS, robotic and autonomous system operators, into every battalion and squadron. It did not make the cut. So all you did was continue to go, hey, there's more tasks, as you said, for that cognitive overloaded specialist or whoever. SOF, and I use the Rangers because I work with them a little bit, went in and took D Company, and the same with the SF groups. They go, no, we got guys who are going to do this. This is a function, and this is a way to do business. Because whether you're collecting intel, you're targeting, or you're actively collecting targeting data for others to strike in reconnaissance or other means, the picture now has changed because what we kind of labeled this thing, I sent Big Earl this note, is this atmospheric littoral. When you guys grew up and came to the military, key terrain was building 12, it was hilltop 19.
Mm-hmm.
It was something that was
GRGs,
Yeah, now all of a sudden I'm going to go, if you can't own from terrestrial to 200 feet on the modern battlefield right now, you're done.
Yeah.
You're done. I don't even have to have, when I say MMP, because I'm using acronyms, I'll modular mission payloads. So whether I have lethality or I have extended comms or I have an EMP capability or I have SIGINT devices on my drones, I can find you in the RF spectrum. And the assumption that everybody has to make that we didn't have to is you're always being watched now.
Yeah.
That's the modern warfare moniker. The thing that we've got to get better at as we move forward, and I think this is where really a lot of veterans can assist, is you've got a lot of experience. You guys grew up in the early phases of what we call the GWAT, where you are allowed to make free decisions. You are allowed to use fires without looking over your shoulder. And then we grew up in a generation at the end of the GWAT where all of a sudden we had super talks and super jocks, and we had to get permission to strike. And we've got to kind of balance this piece as we go forward with the technology and go. And the question I ask the Army a lot is, well, how do you want to fight? Industry can help you. The hard part about this, buddy, and Big Earl, is if I give the Army a new tank, they have 100 years of tank gunnery that they can refer to, right? I give the Army a new drone, what do?
Yeah.
Because if you give it to aviation, and you mentioned aviation earlier, so I'm going to pick on you a little bit, is they will over-regulate the shit out of it.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I have a lot of knowledge.
Well, I mean, look at.
Go ahead. Let me go, buddy. Let me go. Yeah, so I landed a sweet job when I got out, right? Through JC Glick, got me a freaking phenomenal job, and it deals with innovation. And Rob is 100% right that the other branches of the DoD have made the shift to where I got into SOCOM right away with our tech. That was easy. That was a no-brainer. SOCOM they're like, absolutely, right? And then the Air Force and Navy are eating it up. And the Army specifically, I'm not going to say his name because I respect him too much and he's still active, but he literally said, we can't tell industry what we want. He goes, and that's our fault. He said, everything that you're doing is awesome, but we are in no position to innovate right now because we can't even tell ourselves what innovation is.
Ooh.
Like, freaking wild.
That's
I think before Buddy jumps in, I think that but I don't know how to use it. So how do I design my force?
Right. How do I train it? How do I use it?
Yeah.
What's the POI?
Yep.
Yeah, well, what I was gonna say about your comment about the if you give it to aviation, like even giving drones to the Army, if you look on most bases, they've got these big, telephone poles and put net over it so that the drone won't escape the little, 100-meter training area. And I was the group engineer at the time when they started talking about it, and I was like, that none of what you're saying makes any sense. Like, why do we need netting for safety? Like, we fly, like, put the training area outside the flight corridors. Like, we have 0 to 1,000 feet to fly drones because that's what the regulation says that we can fly, and we're good to go. Like, they're not just gonna. They're made to not just go roam around and do whatever. You push the home button, it comes back and lands in your hand if you want. Like, but the Army took that and they were like, well, Safety Dave got involved, not you, Dave, but Safety Dave got involved. And it's like, well, what if a drone just starts flying around and crashes into all the helicopters or starts falling out of the sky? Like, well, don't fly it around helicopters, A, and B, don't fly it around the PX parking lot. You should be fine. Like, go to a training area just like you train anything else, but you're never going to get proficient at flying any drone in a 100-meter box. Like, you'll be able to do a little bit of stuff, but you're not going to get it out to 10 clicks or 20 clicks or whatever. It's not going to happen. But the regulation part that you were talking about is already happening. Like, they're already regulating it.
So we haven't had a catastrophic issue yet. So I'm waiting for somebody from third group to drive a drone back into their face and it blows up, right? So
the groups have to train in their little training nets as well.
But I think we're starting to see, though, it's graduating, Buddy, a little bit right now. So
yeah.
I think with USASOC, I think General Braga gets it. So that he's been pushing it out. So, but when you run a range from now on, you should show up and it already has a ROS. Mm-hmm. This stuff should be already done. So when you are building live fires for your special forces team or your company's guys, that ROS should already be part of that mission planning now. We should have been doing this 3 years ago. And this is when I brought it up 3 years ago to the Army. I'm like, hey, we're missing the mark on this. And they're like, hey, Rob, can you focus on ground robotics? And I go, no, the physics is too hard, but the aerial robotic realm is right now. I think the second part of this, Buddy, to be honest with you, is, remember, we had this capability with Switchblades around 2010.
Yeah.
Even SOF wasn't really allowed to use it. We allowed the operational level of war, senior leaders 2 and 3 stars, to manage tactical outcomes by driving Hellfires into bad guys. Mm-hmm. And this is problematic. Now, all of a sudden, you're trying to bring this down, but you've created rules and permission slips that kind of misguided this to a hierarchical perspective for tactical dominance.
Well, I'll tell you, Rob, what I've seen that tends to be the problem is that you get guys in your super talk that you were talking about earlier that, want to run the battlefield like they're a team leader or a squad leader, as opposed to coordinate efforts to support the team leader and squad leader on the ground.
Who's actually on the ground.
Use the situation, and they can't see 300, they can't smell the battlefield, but they want to run it like, it's one thing to run a battle while you're getting shot at and you can see what's going on. it's another thing to run a battlefield from an air-conditioned talk where you're not going to be the one that catches the bullet. And you could say, well, I'll feel bad if it happens. Yeah. But you won't be dead and feel bad. You'll be, so
Yeah. So the whole risk stance that you're talking about.
That definitely needs to be a part of like the career course or part of OES training and NCOES training is letting go of the reins and letting the warfighter fight the war and coordinating the efforts to fight it. You're not a team leader anymore.
Well, it comes in, buddy. I think it's going back into what senior leadership's supposed to do, and that's underwrite the risk.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
we don't have a network anyways that can.
I mean, that's where Mission Command started, right? Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, that's the whole part. You kind of come back and go because we could see from shadows circling IED areas and other things. Because we could see, we thought we could decide.
Right.
And when you have a one-dimensional perspective, and you guys have all lived this, you don't understand it. Now, when you're out there and you're in that tactical space, the one thing I really like that our network isn't that great is because you're never going to pull that data, that FMV feed, full motion video feed, all the way back. That data is going to stay in that tactical enclave, and that data right there is going to be executed by that squad leader, platoon sergeant. That's where we got to keep this. If we can do that and manage kind of a free flow, and I hate the term free flow, but it makes sense if we say it this way now. We can change doctrine later. Decision, and we adjust the battlefield geography to go, hey, man, we have the ability to shape tactical outcomes. And one of the techniques or talks that I mention a lot of times, and you guys may be a little young, except you, Big Earl, is coming out of Gulf War I. There was a big dispute between General Van Ripper of Marine Corps and General DePaulo, who was about EBO, effects-based operations. And it was, hey, we've always done this. Now this is a new thing because we're using cruise missiles to set conditions to do things. And I go, yeah, that's kind of interesting. One of the things that we may see is a change in our own dichotomy where we sit there and go, smaller units could set the conditions for larger units to move, and that's never happened.
Well, that's what Schwarzkopf said in the Gulf War. Schwarzkopf said that when they said, hey, why don't we send in special forces? Schwarzkopf goes, because they'll get in a firefight and I got to send in 2 divisions to get them out.
Yeah. So now all of a sudden, but now with the standoff, you go, because part of this battle management process is going to be, hey, I've got this capability, and I won't mention or go into AI because that's a whole different podcast, is I have the ability at the edge to set the conditions. Before the 82nd, your guys' company in the 82nd, man, wasn't going to go in there and shoot it out with a bunch of T-90s. Well, I don't need to shoot out with T-90s, man. They're 20 clicks away. I can blow them up with my RAS team. And now, Are they really going to want to play? And then think about that signature of that M1 or T-90 on the battlefield. And I kind of go, hey, man, it's a different ball game now because of that temporal space. Now, it's not always owned, but the part of this kind of goes, there's this psychology, and you guys have seen the videos. Maybe you've seen it, where the Russian soldier just looks up and sees a drone and starts running. You're just like, hey, that drone may not even be armed.
I mean, they're surrendering. They're surrendering to drones. They are surrendering.
They are. It's pretty wild. They're surrendering, and then they're getting blown up.
They had a drone. They were showing the one where the drone was walking the guy back to Ukrainian lines.
Yeah.
He literally, the drone actually, that dropped in water too. Not a huge deal.
I've just been seeing the ones where they're like just sitting there waving in their fighting position, and then boom.
But I look at this and go, hey, this is a fact. And the Army's the slowest to get after it because we're the non-containerized force. The Marine Corps comes off containers. They're called ships. The Navy manages ships, and the Air Force flies in containers. We're the hardest ones to manage because it's about the people. Okay, when the Marines get to shore, it's hard to manage. But when you get out there and you put a corps on the battlefield, and you have 100,000 plus on the battlefield, you've got to manage that geometry. I think that's where we got to start, is build it at the edge. Go ahead, buddy.
Do you think that maybe part of the conversation is also, I don't know, like I said, for me, when I watch drone footage of drones being used offensively in Ukraine against Russians or either way, like I don't think anything's cool about it at all. And the reason I don't think anything's cool about it is because I've been in positions where that could just as easily be me in the foxhole. So we're spending a lot of time on what drones can do offensively, but we don't know how to fight against them.
No, there's 2 sides to that. No, it's a great point, buddy. There's 2 sides.
I wanted to get to this part. Yeah, this is.
When we were in Yeah, when we were in Syria,
Stop. Rob, remember that story where there's some trucks racing against Russian trucks?
It wasn't me. Anyway,
not going to say it wasn't him, but
I know a guy, but it wasn't me. Anyway, but like I said, when we were in Syria, that was one of the, we had some drones, right? But there were also drones that weren't ours that kept flying over, and we had our little freaking frequency gun that we would try to shoot at them. We had shotguns that we try to shoot at them. We had all of these wannabe defensive mechanisms that didn't really do anything for it. And like I said, it's one thing to use these things offensively, but that's also kind of a Pandora's box. Once we open that up, and once it's been opened up, like it's been opened up Ukraine, we open that box. Well, now we have to not. It's great that we can use it offensively to do recce or blow up T-72s, but it's going to be used against us, just like we talked pre-show, just like nods, just like thermals, just like all that other stuff. Like, it'll be great in that window of time where we have the benefit of being able to own that battle space. But just like air power, like we have the Air Force, and we've never really had to worry about people dropping bombs on us. Well, if we go to war with somebody who has an actual Air Force that can drop bombs on us, well, that'd
be a different story.
That changes the whole spectrum of battle, right? It changes the
training. It changes everything.
It changes absolutely everything. Well, when we open this box and we start using drones with no as far as like even Geneva Convention type like rules for how drone warfare is conducted, when you take the humanity out of war, you also take the purpose of war away. Because at the end of the day, our job is to find, fix, and destroy the enemy, but it's to find, fix, destroy the enemy to achieve a goal. Well, if our drones are just fighting other drones, then that goal is never. Then it's a budgetary constraint.
I thought you were going to say these.
Like, what's the JRTC training? What are they training in JRTC right now? Like, what are the cycles?
They're utilizing.
Who's the enemy?
They're utilizing drones. It's a mix between both an aerial threat. And you guys have done CTCs before, combat training centers. Is they're always going to up gun. I think part of that is good because you're reacting to it, and the counter drone fight is difficult because the hardest thing that the Army doesn't really manage well is spectrum and understanding that space. Even SOF doesn't do it that well. We have to be honest with ourselves. So I think that's problem one. Problem two, as Buddy just mentioned, is, hey, are you taking this out? And I go, do you want to fight somebody who doesn't bleed as much?
Yeah.
That's the part you go back to. The other part you don't talk about when I mention modular mission payloads, guys, is just sensors. So I could go out and drop a bunch of sensors about the size of a quarter the last 2 weeks that can tell me that a T-15 tank or T-14 tank is moving 30 clicks away and give me a decent lob without putting anything in the air. Somebody's like, well, it's air dependent, it's environment dependent. I go, no, guys, it's a different world now. Well, how are you communicating that back, Rob, halfway around the world? I'm like, this thing called Starlink works, right? One. Two is, if I told you we just flew an FPV, it was just reported. We flew an FPV on Bragg in Poland. If you weren't tracking that, we just did that.
Yep.
Okay. So the pilot was sitting there. You're seeing in Ukraine these things called mules, right? So SF guys are walking this in, or infantry guys are walking in. Some FPVs are taking them off, and as soon as they're taken off, they're controlled, and they're not fiber optic, but they're being controlled by guys sitting in game chairs. And all that guy is, he's a virtual asset to you. He's your avatar to your squad, guys. And there's a virtual piece of this we've got to grasp onto. And we can't say that, well, there's a dignity of warfare. I go, no, I want unfair fights every day. I want Mike Tyson fighting Betty Robo, man. I'm okay with that. That's where we have to push this a little bit. And then allow folks who make those decisions in land warfare, Buddy, to make those decisions. But let's at least apply that. Let's build the skill set, and let's look at how these offsets change our tactics. Because the one thing I'll give you and you mentioned, and I go back to aviation, is, when we go to war, man, we didn't have a coin plane. Remember that? We didn't have anything slow that could loiter. And
coin operations.
An A1E Sky Raider would have been awesome to have, or something like that, because the Air Force does jets. But all of you in this podcast, we all have been doing the same battle drills our dads and our grandfathers did. Battle drill 6 didn't change much in 70 years, guys.
Right.
You can't be okay with that.
Enter and
We're
clear
not
room for
fighting
anybody
anybody
that's
else.
watching. Yeah.
You got APS armor, and you kind of go back in. Hey, we've got plates. They had metal. I go, so what's changed in ground combat, guys, and how do we want to change it? And we've got to grasp this. And I go, well, it's not permanent. It's not necessarily always there. And I go, yeah, that's just it, man. Nothing's always there. The environment has a vote. Tech glitches have a vote. It's not going to be perfect. But I go, the impact that you have now with something showing up that eliminates a high morale thing for your army or their army, your enemy's army, that changes the game. Because what are you thinking if you're sitting there and you left your fob and you came back and your fob's on fire? Shit.
Yep.
Someone's got eyes on. We got to go out to the hills. We got to start taking the hills. Then all of a sudden it's an ambush. And you go, man, this is different now. A mechanical ambush in the future may be a group of drones that just come in and not a tripwire set to a bunch of claymores. We've got to think.
Do you think our potential adversaries are ahead of the game in regards to training and things of that nature? Because we're talking about
right. Is this a weapons race, Dave? Is this a weapons race again? Are we racing to who can do it? Yeah.
I think my worry with us is we think that because Ukraine's doing it, there's this thing you saw in the Army with 101st and others that said they did it really cheap and we're flying FPVs for less than we've got to spend some money to figure this out. We got to figure out where it fits in. We got to figure out echelonment, and then we got to figure out how to fight it. And like I said, there's no manual that shows it. I think adversaries and peers can be ahead because they don't think. I mean, like you guys were all served in Iraq and Afghanistan. One of our weaknesses is our Western compassion. We fight with rules. We think with rules. We're compassionate towards that. Our enemies aren't. So as you have this, you've got to look at how you use that quiver. And when you use that quiver, the part that I go back to, though, is maybe because of and I call it persistent eyes on now through drones, whether they're tethered or otherwise, because of the environment, you have the ability to have a greater awareness in your decision factor. And you're not cognitively overloading, folks, because this is where you port in AI and go, hey, man, if I know that there's 5 T-72s at this location rather than just 5 tanks, maybe I know that's the 72nd Tank Battalion. And I thought they're going to be over here. And then you start to think better as a leader. Right. These are the things we got to look at. How I destroy it and maximizing that standoff. I go, hey, man, maybe it's a bunch of A-10s that do it. Maybe it's MLRS that do it. Maybe they hit it initially and I kill everything that comes in to tow that shit out. So it changes the game a little bit as we think about the traditional fight. And the change of that is part of standoff. And then the cognizant awareness, and Buddy mentioned getting cognitively burdened, of managing that cognizant input to help a leader make decisions. Because we can all turn something off.
Mm-hmm. I'm getting text messages about you right now that you're spot on. One of my buddies are major in the Army.
We're pretty big on it. We're pretty big on the X factor right now. X has us at a lot of viewers right now. So we're definitely hitting some algorithms with this conversation for sure.
You're saying China, so they have a program weapons that just destroy, and we can't. We follow law. Yeah.
What do we do about the fact that the tech that we're using to develop these weapon systems and these drones comes from a place that is a likely adversary in the future?
Not here.
I think we've drifted away from DJI, buddy. Let's just be honest. I'll put it out there. Okay. So DJI owned the market for drones, and we allowed them to own the market because the US and European countries weren't producing quality drones at a low price. We've kind of, obviously with DIU and others, we've kind of phased that out a little bit. But I still think that it's a fartlek run for the US companies to kind of catch up with the tech piece, which is good because the Army's not ready to do the adoption yet. The adoption papers aren't ready to take this in holistically. You're seeing, DRL and some of the tier 1 elements, they're training guys and utilizing some of the FPVs. There's a great play for FPVs, I think, in the manhunting realm, and I think for some of the surgical strikes that we can do. There's a lot in reconnaissance we're seeing. There was just a mission recently where there was an SBS used to target an individual and provide the grid for a strike. So you're starting to see this rather than a CTR and I follow someone in a vehicle. Maybe I just use a little drone that's quiet, and as soon as I get the CDL that's right, I shoot it.
Right.
So
And I mean, I get that, but whether you like drones or not, I'm not a huge fan because of it's so unfair that it doesn't, like, I didn't like IEDs. I felt like it was a bitch way to fucking fight. Right. That being said, whether you like them or don't like them, they're here and they're going to start, they're not going away. They're just going to become more advanced and we're going to start depending on them even more. My question really is if the parts for making said drones, like the software, the chips, all of that stuff comes from
Be easy to manipulate.
Say China. And
Maybe that's why the Army did the Army Nets, buddy. That's why.
But then we get into a
no,
war.
buddy.
the
DIUs push this through. So all, I won't say all. 90% of the drones being utilized by DoD are made by NATO or U.S. countries right now. So that's where we're at right now. So we are doing that. We have improved the capability within that. I think China still has some improved capability on mortars and some other parts. The 3D part, or if you're going to do additive or subtractive manufacturing, that could be its own discussion.
Right.
But I look at that and go, part of what we have right now is, I think we're at that tip of the iceberg where we're going, hey, we have to adjust. Let's figure out how to. So right now through PO Soldier and General Denemy, I'll give him a plug, he's a great guy, is really working a lasso program, loading munitions. If I can get it up there and it can fly around and I know it can kill any tank, man, how do I manage that and where do I manage that? So we're figuring that out right now. The second part that we just trained with Sumasoft is, two things when you go out, and you guys probably hunt, right? You got a deer stand somewhere?
Mm-hmm.
So you hunt and then you kill.
Still down there in England.
Yeah. So I kind of come back out and go, if you're going to hunt and kill, so we were using smaller drones that have a better duration than some of the armed drones to go find the target and define the target. And then you're not wasting that battery life because there's a swap issue in all these forces. Battery and power and lethality is, hey man, if I'm out there and I'm looking for this, I've got to manage the ability to strike it and I got to manage the ability to find it. So there's two pieces to this that if you're really good, you're tandeming this in and you're working it out. I'd love to tell you could use echelonment of groups of drones. So 12 pounds is a small group 1, group 2 up to 55 pounds, group 3s, 4s, you're getting to predators and other things. You look at that and go, there's an echelonment of stuff that's already flying that does this. All of you guys served and watched drone strike stuff, whether it's predators or other things. Mm-hmm. So all you're doing now, as I mentioned earlier with senior leaders, you're bringing this down to the user. That's the change in 2025 to 2030. Is now it's not flying at 22,000 feet, run by some Air Force guy out of Nellis. You're bringing this down to the user. I actually think it's kind of, just think of it as, as an archer, a long bowman, this is now my ability to kill something further out and see something further out or not kill it further out because I don't have to. So that part of shaping the battlefield changes because the echelonment of understanding and awareness is now focused to tactical up through. Because remember when you're out driving around before, if you weren't soft, man, you were clueless, or you're looking at some black and white screen that's got your AC-130 feed or a DAP feed, and you're like, oh shit. Now all of a sudden, I've got a guy who's telling me what he can see, and I got a guy who's echoing to our team some of the calls that need to be called to the PL, to the platoon sergeant, to the team leader. That's a big change now.
So maybe every
guys are on the white side of the building.
Squad, a drone team. You got your weapon squad, and then you have a drone team on the.
Well, you don't need a javelin team anymore.
Yeah,
Well, I always tell, don't throw anything out. Baby and bathwater got to stay in the same house.
Keep the clue, but not the. You don't need the javelin anymore.
But then but I always come out and go. I have this argument all the time working for a company that builds drones. They're always like, Rob, we need cheaper drones, and I go, well, define cheaper. So we have our Rogue One, which is a small drone that's got a 1 pound warhead of CLR, and I go, this drone can immobilize any tank in the inventory, or it can make a firepower mobility kill. I go, and it weighs 10 pounds, and it flies for 30 minutes, 10 pounds, and I go, and I'm like, this, and it flies for 30 minutes, and I go, hey, if I had this in my quiver, and I'd ask any of you guys in any fight you had to go back and be Duffer's Drift and fight the fight again, but all of a sudden have an aerial capability at your beck and call.
Yeah.
Well, especially in
Which is
urban
the point.
warfare.
I mean, go
Yeah.
back to Anaconda for guys that read about Anaconda.
It makes us more lethal. I mean, if you think about Samara when we weren't allowed to leave because we didn't have, air support or whatever, like you just make a platoon more lethal if you have this drone where consistently.
Well, I mean,
The enemy knew that when there was red air, they were about to go nuts on us.
Yep.
Yeah,
Right.
well,
100%.
we had drones even then.
Yeah.
We had
Well, we
Ravens
didn't
and all the other
yeah,
stuff.
but not as effective like he's talking about. Like every platoon should be equipped with one.
My point is going to be that we've had drones for the last 15, almost 20 years. In 15 or 20 years, we still haven't figured out how to use them effectively and how
we haven't built on that at all. Correct.
I remember going to Raven School in 2007 and
You've been to every school, buddy.
Yeah. But riding in the back.
You actually were in charge.
You
You
are
were
the
the
most decorated
NCOIC of like
soldier I
every
know.
school in the army. So
Anyway, are we done? We finished that part?
No, we're
Yeah,
not.
you did musket training.
Part of that school.
He was my Pathfinder instructor, by the way. So
That's the only reason Nick is Pathfinder qualified.
because I can't do long division.
Jesus. Part of that school was riding in the back of a vehicle, flying a Raven so that you could get check your, what was ahead of you, what was beside you, like the whole time. And you had situational awareness of the entire battle.
It was never done.
You know how many times I did that in real life while we
Exactly.
were driving, even though we had a Raven, because nobody would give you the ability to do it.
Exactly.
Like I did it 0 times when we had the ability to do it. And then fast forward, I was on a deployment in a location, and there were some UK fellows that were with us on that or at the same place we were.
Not racing.
We had a Raven that was basically the same Raven that I flew back in 2007. They had a Raven with like 15 different fucking payloads on it.
Yeah.
They could do all kinds of crazy shit because they had paid for like the extra. And I was like, wait a second. How is it they have the ability to do all this other stuff?
So you were like a Marine when the Army unit showed up. Like, wait a minute, where'd you get those toys?
All the old equipment.
Why do you have FLIR on your
Why
stuff?
are you using the M16, bro?
I got this thing that either sees in the front or to the side. That's it. You know what I mean?
But yeah, I think that's the part you go back to is I think that Buddy makes a good point is we had this capability, but it wasn't necessarily used. The other thing kind of comes back down to is the clarity of the feed, guys. Now, we always talk about this digital generation that now is, in the seats that you guys sat in, when you got out is you have a generation that grew up with computers. Now the megapixels and the view that folks can see isn't grainy, buddy, like the freaking Raven feed or the Shadow feed. It is 640 megapixels coming in, and it's clear as day. And that's a rifle in the guy's hand because I can almost read the serial number. This is where, Moore's law we talked about earlier, this is where this changes, guys. And then you come in and go, is it, and how do I sequence that into a mission profile that I'm doing? Because everybody's like, well, you lose momentum. And I always tell folks, I go, be careful with momentum because deliberacy can be momentum, and deliberacy doesn't necessarily always fast. Yeah. If you're deliberate, you can be strong. And that's part of this goes back to is, and then how cleverly, buddy, and Earl, how could you phase this in? So maybe I don't show my drones early. Maybe I show midway through, or maybe I'm using someone else's drones.
Well, yeah.
There's a whole different way to kind of Sugar Ray Leonard box this a little bit in your minds to go, hey man, how would I do this? And what we've been trying to do with the Army is a lot of simulation. And in this simulation, we've actually turned the COFMs, which is the rated value of some of the assets that traditionally are highly valued. We brought them down because I'm like, yeah, your M1's interesting, but I've got 25 drones out there that can smoke an M1.
Right.
So it's not a 5 anymore. It's a 3 because it's still a key piece on the battlefield, but it's probably not the queen anymore in the battlefield. It's probably sitting over near the bishop. So it can do certain things, but it's easy to call out. And it's 78 to 100 tons. It's easy to find with that heat signature. Because what's every camera have now that didn't have before, like your Raven? Well, we've got EOIR now.
Yeah. Well, how are we doing? How are we doing on the SIGINT part of controlling a drone and then not getting triangulated with the signal that you're putting out to control the drone to not get counter strike against you?
So there's a lot of GPS denied capabilities they have now, buddy. And really, that's been a good testing ground both in Gaza and in Ukraine. So a lot of data, you can put mapping data on there that's relatively good mapping data, and you can have a map on there. So if I lose GNS, it goes back to the location it took for, and it'll read exactly where it's at, where the flight path is set. Or you set that flight path. I go, hey, man, I'm going to
retire. To a point where we can not only do, and we've been able to do that for a while, the GPS data and set a flight pattern and get it to come back. But then you had to look at what the drone saw after, so you're not getting, kind of real time information, because it's got to send a signal back.
That's just with AI right now. This is the beauty of, and I hate the term AI, because depending on who you talk to, it's either a noun or a verb. You kind of come back in and go, hey, if I've got a vehicle characterization capability on it, maybe it goes and pulsates a pixel back to me. And I think I see it.
I was going to ask if it was something like that, or if you could put in like almost like a CCIR into the drone and be like, if you find these vehicles, drop.
We're getting there. I will tell you that the characterization isn't complete yet, buddy, but there's some companies that have done some great work in developing that. I think it's just merging that together. I think there's going to be an issue with that, with security enclaves from TS to secret. So how we pull that data is going to be interesting, because a lot of these drones, everybody wants to be attritable, right? So I don't want to go kill a bunch of kids like we did getting a bunch of shadows in the desert. So we're going to keep these, in the SBU environment, which is secure but unclassified. That's where they need to stay. They go out and don't come back, I don't give a shit. It's $5,000, man. We'll go fly another one. That's how we've got to approach this, right? And then, look at it as an archer would, as an arrow in his quiver, and go, hey, man, I've got more of these. And then look at the MMP. When you mention that, you kind of go, is one of the things that the Israelis did fairly successful is they used some EMP charges for counter UAS. When was the last time we did anything with EMP? The 60s?
Yeah.
And there's some, I always tell people, read old books, learn new things. And there's some stuff that people did really smart before AI that's still pretty damn smart.
Well, again, back to, I don't know, like not to beat a dead horse, but what's scary is that if we're doing it, someone else is going to also do it. So how do we
100%?
How do we keep like?
It's like it's the men who stare at goats. The men who stare at goats. Are the Russians doing this? Well, we need to do it.
The bad thing is that if somebody drops an EMP charge around us, we're done.
Yeah. Well, I always got to go back and go, you're never done, because we have this great thing called our non-commissioned officer corps, right? We have leaders that are trained to think. We do. Regardless, there's still great kids that come in. They're just like you are. It's the environment they grow up in, and there's still one or two or three great senior NCOs that are going to make them like them. Someone made you like them, and that's exactly what's going to happen.
Right, buddy. Don't get all catastrophic, buddy. Don't get all catastrophic, buddy.
I'm not catastrophic.
Yeah, you are. Like, we're all just toast. Like,
I work with them every day, and let me tell you,
you work with one unit every day. You work with one unit every day.
But gotta think. But buddy, I just kind of go think through it and go, hey, yes, one.
And they're fake airborne.
Two is, I think the other part about this goes is how we interweave the capability. So in the sense of when I say interweave the capability, kind of think about it, from MANA networks to everything that we're kind of moving around the battlefield is, remember, if the drone's out there, it doesn't have to be a killer. I can use MRLS, I can use 155, I can use Air Force assets, I can use Navy assets. There is a plethora of quivers or arrows in our quiver that we can go ahead and shoot that necessarily don't come from that tactical element. The comms piece kind of comes in and goes, what's different now is, I would argue that unlike you guys, when you guys went forward, even in 2015, you probably had a PA plan and not a PACE plan. And one of the key things that we've got to look at is how we move data now into the future. Not just voice, maybe voice over data, but operating, and rather than showing up and shutting down the Baghdad network, maybe we keep a couple towers up and we leverage that 4G for our own gain. We just got to fight smarter.
Well, how does that work? How is the Army looking at integrating this system into just basically training management? You know what I mean? Like, are they talking about having a specialized, like an addition, like an enabler to a platoon or a company?
It's a great question, buddy, because Dan brought this up.
Not enough time in a day to train.
But what I've seen is, and you guys all work with 2.4, 2.3 STS, is I call it your atmospheric littoral JTAC. A kid walks in, if you're my team sergeant buddy, a kid walks in and goes, man, I've got 2 modular mission. Here's what I have. I have 18 hours of battery. My payloads are EW. I have an EW payload. I have a SIGINT payload. And I have 2 lethality payloads, one for personnel and one for a tank. Here's what I can do for you. I'm going to have to recharge at this point. They are your, and they launch on your command. They are your little JTAC that you kind of run what I call the 3D battlefield in your sector. And that's the beauty of it. If I need other assets, I bring them in. And the thing that I kind of come in is we're so worried about, where I've seen a lot of times we talk ROSs really, is deconfliction. I go, I'm not worried about deconflicting a 12-pound drone with anything that flies above it really fast. And it's not going above 500 feet because I don't want its EW signature to stick out.
I mean, really, the only place you'd have to deconflict would be with rotary wing.
Yeah, and that's the problem we're seeing. We're seeing a lot of this. Yeah, that's the problem. That's why I mentioned don't give this to the aviation branch because we'll screw it up.
I mean, but I mean, for real. I mean, the worst case
I'll tell General Gill next week. I have a meeting with him. I'm going to talk to him about it.
If you're that worried about it, you can always
get drones.
Drop it to the ground. It's only you're not losing an aircraft. So,
but you know, the big sky, little bullet, whatever, versus vice versa, however how people look at it. I go, but the part of this kind of comes back to is how do I leverage that asset? And then as the Army goes back in, is if I'm going to create these JTACs, the Manning thing, right? These RAS operators, how do we best do it? And I think SOF's on the cutting edge. I think the Marine Corps had to be on the cutting edge because they got rid of their M1s, they got rid of other things. So I think we're starting to see that. I think we're going to learn from our enemies too a little bit. Is, hey man, here's some good ways to do it. We may pack stuff in. A SF team may take in a truckload of drones, man, that we freaking launch out in an AIG, 5G network, and we go strike something. And does it take the sexiness out of going in and taking something out like that? Or is it just smarter and you still retain the capability to put boots on the ground at any time? And I think that we just got to be able to leverage all the cards in the deck and go, some of the cards have changed, and here's what they look like now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think something I don't want to keep opening up another can of worms because we can always do another podcast on it. But one of the things I hear from active duty like units with budgets and stuff like that is that they're in such big trouble with programs. So programs are sunken money to them whenever you mention something new. And I'm sure you deal with this a lot, Colonel Rob, but it's like, again, the Army can't tell industry what they want.
Yeah.
Because there's so many graybeards sitting in an office saying, well, that's just another program we have to start. We have to start another.
This is how we've always done it. Let's keep it that way. Yeah.
It's like, how about you just get rid of half of that shit and just
a minimalistic mindset. But yeah, it happens though.
You don't even everywhere. You don't even need to hire the way with technology and how we can scale training to the force. You don't even have to have you don't have to have like a subject matter expert on every base. You need one at every corps. Because you can send it out, but that's.
I think that's no. You're right. I mean, kind of go back and go that every service has its culture, every division has its culture, every brigade has a culture, and there's a million subcultures and everything, right? So within this, you've got really a Robert McNamara era freaking acquisition, right? We're used to hardware and 20-year programs, right? SOF's got P2 money in the big Army, P11 money in SOF, and you kind of go, how do we best manage that? And and I have discussions with senior leaders about, well, I don't want to spend all my P11 money on shit that we should already have, Rob. The Army should have this, right? And I'm like, yeah, I get it, but if you don't lead into it and you don't start showing the benefit through using P11, P2 dollars will never be there. So that's the part we've got to look at. How can we do better software design? So the Army and software are not necessarily, synonymous with excellence, right? We get some shitty software. No one in the world can give soldiers something that's 20 years old and tell them it's brand new better than the Army.
You got old running and gunning, whiskey drinking. Cheers to Pete Hegseth, the National Guard Secretary of Defense. You got him saying we got to promote the right people, and that's right. I was talking to aviation. And we keep dogging on them. And there was a problem that they have is that for their maintainers, they don't even have the equipment of like the new Chinook model to train on. They don't even have the equipment. That's one. Two, the program that they have to qualify on and keep their credentials is still on JKO.
Yeah. So well, I mean, Rumsfeld said it best, right? You fight the army that you have, right? So you can't modernize a 1 million member army overnight.
Right.
Now, I thought, and you guys are old enough.
It's a process. Yeah.
Well, you guys are old enough to go in. We've done this tick thing, right? Transition and contact. And be honest, I don't think it's been really good. I think it's been kind of parts and pieces. So it's not been effective. I look back and go, the Army did this pretty well with 7th ID in the validating airland battle and moving forward and kind of doing some stuff. They took a division, and that division fed the Army kind of this airland battle thing. It was pretty successful. But it was a division that had a staff, that had brigades. You had the whole gamut. Now you're
they have the core right there. They had the core right there as well. So
that was part of it. I think that there's a lesson to be learned from there. I think right now it kind of comes back in, and you mentioned earlier, I don't know if it's careerism or parochialism. No aviator wants to lose their job. No, the cabs are not going to go away. Because, and you look at the Army's mission and role, and I go, hey, even with drones, the problem is you have HADR, which are 90% of DoD missions, right? So if you're out doing HADR, man, there's a role for a helicopter. But I also kind of go, I'll throw this at you guys. I go, put drones in the role of Katrina, man. How many lives could we save?
Yeah, and Dave and Buddy were both there.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Buddy was not there. I was
tons of them.
But they did that. They used drones in Texas.
Jammed out of that one, huh?
That flood. They had a couple drones that pick people up. There were some search and rescue teams that were using drones to fly out the dudes that were there were a couple kids that were.
Amazon is delivering stuff with drones in some states now.
They can in some rural areas, but even go with drones in agriculture. I mean, University of Auburn's using it for agriculture. Yeah. If you look at fire departments and methane gas leaks and other things that they can utilize these things for, because the sensors and what Buddy had mentioned earlier, hey man, I had a Raven, but my sensor sucks. No one wanted to fly it. You kind of go back and go, now I got sensors that can see a methane leak at 2 clicks away on a pipe. This is
insane. I have a DJI drone here at the house, like a personal one, and it's insane. Like how much you can zoom in, and that's just a personal drone.
Yeah,
like the capability.
And I think that right now we mentioned Moore's law. It's only going to get better. It's only going to get better. I don't know if it's going to get really cheaper. I think we've got to come up with a way to do the software right. We can get a decent bus, a small drone, a Group 1. We can create some lethality in the lasso space that both the Marine Corps and the Army and honestly the Air Force is playing with. But we've got to go back to how do we increase that software? And then what does that software architecture look like to move class, unclass, and sensitive data back and forth? Once we can figure that out, we'll be okay. So that's the difference between us and others. Because they may strike a bunch of tanks, but if you strike a tank, you don't kill it, man. You're just pissing off 4 tankers.
Yeah.
So
well, I want to be cognizant. I want to be cognizant of your time, Colonel Ryan. You have a birthday party you got to do. Are you good? Because
no, I got like 10 minutes, so we'll go 10 more, and I've got to do it. Birthday party. They're already hovering around and looking at me strangely. And
well, hey, to just let them know that we got about 50 viewers live right now on the X Factor, so you're drawing some attention, and it'll get thousands.
You'll be on Sean.
You're going to be on Sean Ryan in a couple of months.
And apparently, we also need to.
I'm telling you right now, you're going to be.
just read where we needed to watch out for our OPSEC violations. So
yeah, well,
I don't know what operation security we were violating.
There's a disclaimer out there for anybody who's retiring that wants to start a military page or podcast. The bro vets are out of control. Like right now, we got somebody from 1945 yelling at us about OPSEC. It's like, you're right.
I'm tracking, brother.
Well,
tracking, dude.
Nothing about this is about an operation.
Yeah, well, there's nothing about this I can't Google, right? So everything's Google.
Operation.
No, right. Don't give them the range of that weapon. You can just Google it, right? Like,
but it kind of
information. Max range of an M4. God damn, OPSEC.
I kind of come back and go in summation. You look at it and go, hey man, the battlefield down to squad is now 3-dimensional. And really when it was at one dimensional, I go, the cognitive piece we got to be aware of for the small unit leaders, because they're usually, you train to be instinctive. But if we can use that instinct, but we can use the standoff that can be created by technology, we can increase the lethality. We can increase the decision space, and we can increase the ability to manage assets. That's really 3 levels of importance that we really got to focus after. The deconfliction, the battlefield calculus that has to happen. We have good leaders in all the services. They'll figure it out. The part of really cheap stuff, I don't want cheap stuff to our soldiers. I want good stuff to our soldiers.
Right.
Do I want it cost prohibitive? No, I want it cost to work, and I want it to work in the shittiest night and the coldest winter. That's the stuff that we need. The other part kind of comes back down to, in the tech world, kind of comes back down to, as we move forward, what we need to figure out, are we tech enabled or tech dependent? And I think Buddy brought this up. I think what he was mentioning earlier is, hey, I want to be tech enabled.
Yeah.
Other armies may shift to a tech dependency.
Mm-hmm.
That worries the shit out of me, man. That's Skynet. That's that other stuff that we're really going to push to. I go, we started this off, right, Dan, with a bunch of conspiracy theories. So I'll go to Skynet, okay? And I'll kind of go out there and say, man, we want really smart tools to inform us. The one thing I've never said here about anything is we never took the human out of the loop. And we won't. Because that's the Western perspective of how to leverage the fight, the equipment, and the people in the fight. And I think that's where we stay at. That's the important piece of this you got to look at. Tech is just Batman with another thing on his belt, man, that he uses at the right time, the right place, against the right villain. And if we can do that logically, and we can do that without the emotion of disruption in the sense of how we think we need to fight, but make the decision not emotionally on, hey, man, do we need 9 cabs active in the Army? Or is the helicopter something that maybe we put maybe in component 2 or 3 because their role is going to be diminished over time?
Yeah, and that's one of the
these are the questions you got to have.
That's one of the things that is a procurement problem, and I know you're tracking this, and I think we can round it up here pretty soon. But yeah, one of the procurement problems is there's a lot of civilians that are in that process, and their jobs go bye-bye. They're looking at new tech going, ooh, yeah, this is great, but, and it's like, bro, you are not in the decision chain. You are not in the decision chain.
Yeah,
but I just
that's a problem in itself. That's
really good book, and it was interesting because it was about the horse's role in 1918 in World War I. And what I didn't take from it was, the fact that I didn't know that we had 1.7 million horses brought over to France. I didn't know that affected everything in New York City because trolleys were moved by horses, ice was moved by horses. The whole supply chain was horse run. Then all of a sudden you take a third of horses out of America and you send them overseas, you have problems. So now all of a sudden electricity, you develop off that. And it kind of goes, if we're anything as a society, we're pretty damn resilient. Now, somewhere there was some dude holding his horse watching a tank drive by in 1918 going, I think things are changing. We can either be the guy holding the bridle of the horse, or we can be the guy going, I want to be inside that tank, or I want that tank to provide effects so I can maneuver. And that's the space we're in right now.
Awesome. Yeah, for sure. And then we're going to bring you back on after the Sean Ryan podcast because you'll be on there. All right. Now, don't get too excited. You won't be the first. You'll be like the fourth of our guests.
We'll save the Praetorian discussion and integrity for another time too.
And again, I've actually used that in this podcast before, but nobody listens to me about it. It's absolutely tremendous to how what Buddy talked about. I guess, hey, sum it up real quick. I got to hear it again. Sum it up real quick.
Who, me or Buddy?
Yeah, you. No. But Buddy had the, hey, find your purpose. You're still, and then you backed it up with,
Well, I think I'll hit it this way, Earl. I mean, when I got out, I went to work the next day. And I had left, when I left brigade command, I went into networking. But
it stems from the integrity.
Yes, but it kind of comes back to who I am, right? So,
discipline as well.
I looked at how we fight.
It's part of it.
And I looked at how we fight, and I looked at the fact that I had a grandfather, in fighting from France to Germany, and I go, doing the same battle drills that his son did, and his grandkids did. I don't want my grandkids to do battle drill 6 the way I did. For 70 years or 80 years, we've been okay with that. But every other way we fight has been modified and changed through tech involvement. There's little things that have affected the formational fight of humans, but not necessarily characterly changed it dramatically. Remember, and Buddy primers, we did call outs and soft. Remember the first time we did a call out, people thought we were nuts. I was like, man, I'm done with shooting grandma in the face, man. I don't want to lose any more dogs. I'm done with this shit. I got like yelled at. I was like, no, I'm done with this, man. And I remember guys going, and then I had this little robot speaker thing I threw on, man, and had my interpreter go off on this thing. And I remember just going, what are you doing? I'm like, yeah, I'm not losing 2 dogs tonight. It's not worth it.
Do the shield thing. Give us the shield. Give us the synopsis for the shield. We're gonna let it go, buddy. Well, I need to hear it. I need to hear it again.
I just kind of go back and remember the Praetorian became the Praetorian for what reason? Initially, they were the best warriors of Rome, and because of the Caesars, they started guarding the Caesar. When you guarded the Caesars, they started taking their shield off. It was called integer back then. It's the word for integrity. So when they took their shield off, they gave their integrity away. And what we can't do is guys that have served is take our integrity away and go, hey man, here's things that I wish I could change on the battlefield and influence that. And I think that's a critical piece. If you don't have a purpose, man, we can find you a purpose and we'll get you, I've got a couple guys, we'll find that purpose. But I go back and go, don't lose your integrity. Don't allow it to take off. Like I told you, there is no expiration date on any creed we raised our right hand or code that we raised our right hand. It exists within us. Just don't let it die.
Love it.
Absolutely.
Wow. What a way to kickstart the new season or whatever episode we're on. That was awesome.
we went super long and I love it. And I'm sure 10th Mountain Whiskey loves it because now I got to order another bottle. So then go up there and get that 10th Mountain Whiskey at a discount.
Check out 10thwhiskey.com and type in VTT and get a discount. Yeah.
But anyway, the quick AAR, quick hot wash. There is an alien ship coming. All right. And there's nothing we can do about it. So October just live your life.
Our last show.
And then when it comes through the atmosphere, we all band together. All right, and we destroy it. All right. We've figured this out on the Trash Talk Hour. Leo's watching this from Palestine. Nice.
Nice. Thanks for tuning in, Leo.
Leo, that's for you. All right. So hopefully you agree. But it is what it is. And then we had one of my favorite commanders. I wish I could call him the best, but the best referred me to him. So it is awesome to have Colonel Rob on and talk about the state of warfare where it's changing and how what we have to do to adapt to get there and make it right. Will we get there? We will. But again, hopefully it doesn't smack us in the face before that comes. But
remember, you adapt when you're in contact, you innovate when you're not. And it's
correct.
Easier to watch people adapt as we try to innovate, and it's not necessarily cheap to innovate. And that's the space we're in right now.
Right. And for you gray beards listening on the Twitter universe, on the X, all right, if you have to lose your job because we're innovating, it is what it is. All right. We got to do it. All right. We got to help the boys out and the fighters out. We're all about the war fighters. So that's the AAR, and I'll turn it over to Faceman.
Any last words?
I'm good. No, I had a great time.
Good to go. Hey, for anybody
do your shirt, buddy. Hey, Buddy's got a shirt on. Buddy's got my favorite shirt.
How you gonna ask if there's any last words, and then when I say one thing, you're like,
well, I was referring to the guests if you want to say anything else. Nobody cares about you, buddy.
My last word is going to be hopefully they get drones in Ranger School because it would make it so much easier. Just stay in the barracks. Just
stay in the 300-man barracks. So you don't have to go anywhere. So
they've already put drones out at Ranger School.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. Hey, show the shirt, buddy. Buddy, show the shirt. You have my favorite shirt on.
It's that better. Yeah.
TNT Mobile while traveling. Yeah, that's one of our favorite ones. See, we capitalize on everything. It's like, there you go. Like, remember when the pagers are blowing up? Like, there you go. TNT Mobile. Anytime you're traveling to Iran. Love it. So Yeah, Regis A. Maxwell. There you go. Bam. Nailed it.
No clients,
Hey.
no crime. Hey, if
No
you tune in
clients,
late,
no
go to
crime.
VeteranTrashTalk.com. That is our website. It has the links to everything where you can rewatch and listen to this amazing episode that we just had. Go to shop.veterantrashtalk.com. That's where you can find all our amazing merch. You can scan the QR code right there. Get that awesome shirt, F Hamas. And we'll catch you guys next Saturday. Love y'all. Faceman VTT out. Boom.
Take care, guys. Thanks.